a super exciting day for us here at Black Spectacles as we're kicking off CSE Live for the first time ever. For those of you that know us for our ARE prep, you may know our ARE Live podcast, which we've done, believe it or not, since 2014. So well over 100 episodes and doing that for a long time. So it's really fun to be able to launch a new webinar today with all of you for the CSE exam. Of course, we're calling this webinar podcast CSE Live. So welcome to CSE Live. I'm Mark Tier, the founder and CEO of Black Spectacles. I'm joined with my colleague, Patrick Finnegan, who's our producer for CSE Live, as well as architect Marissa Yee, who's with us. She's going to be sharing all sorts of information about how to become a licensed architect in California, including each step you need to take to become that licensed architect, how to pass ARE 5.0, as well as the CSE and additional steps needed for licensure in California. So excited to kick off with all of you today. If you're joining us for the first time, which all of you are joining us for CSE for the first time, but if you're joining us, I guess, as Black Spectacles for the first time, you may or may not know Black Spectacles is a leader in ARE prep. And I'm super excited to announce to all of you that on August 14th, so in less than a month, we will be launching a brand new CSE course designed to help you pass the California Supplemental exam in record time. And so a little bit about what we do at Black Spectacles, the way we make our learning content. We work with learning scientists and architects to ensure you're studying the right content and that you retain it so you can pass those exams on the first try. With our CSE prep, you'll get everything you need to pass the exams, and that's going to include expert crafted California specific study materials. Of course, that means really engaging video lectures with 2D and 3D graphics, practice exams as close to the real thing as you can get, customizable flashcards and quizzes, as well as a structured study plan through our guided study process that will help you stay on track as you go through it. So another really big announcement for us today. We'll be offering a 10% discount on our CSE prep for the first 100 folks who sign up. So what I would invite all of you to do is go to our wait list, which you can find at blackspectacles.com/CSE-exam-prep. We've got a wait list there. It's free, of course, to join that wait list. So I'd encourage all of you to do that. As soon as it goes live, which will be on August 14th, we will open up that promotion for a 10% discount for the first 100 members. So really exciting across the board. And lastly, if your firm is providing Black Spectacles ARE prep for you, be sure to let your firm leadership know and get in touch so that they can unlock access for your entire team for CSE prep. Our next session for CSE Live will be on August 13th. Where we'll be covering what's on the CSE. It'll include key topics and smart study strategies. And you can find all of that at blackspectacles.com/podcast/CSE-live to sign up. We're going to be engaging exclusively on our online ARE/CSE community. So you can head over to community.blackspectacles.com, and right at the top, you'll see we've pinned a thread called CSE Live, how to become a licensed architect. If you have a question as we're going through the episode today, post your question there and we'll answer your questions right there in the community. And everybody who posts in that thread will be eligible to win a free Black Spectacles t-shirt. Literally all you have to do is go over there, say hi, and you're instantly registered. And of course, don't forget to stay tuned to the end to see if you've won. With that, I'm very excited to welcome today's guest, Marissa Yee. In addition to working with us here at Black Spectacles, Marissa is a licensed architect based in San Francisco. Welcome, Marissa.
Thank you for having me, Mark. Really excited for the launch of CSE at Black Spectacles. So today we'll be discussing the following topics: how to become a licensed architect in California, how to pass the ARE 5.0. That'll be a little bit of a review as it's a prerequisite to the CSE, additional past licensure in California, and then we'll wrap things up with a live Q&A session. What we're going to start with is the typical or general path that people usually take to become licensed in California, and that is by pursuing a NAB degree. So step one would be to earn a degree accredited by the National Architecture Accrediting Board. There are 176 accredited programs at 140 schools. So check out the list of schools. Hopefully you have attended a program at one of these schools and do have that NAB degree, as it'll make the process towards your licensure in California slightly more streamlined. And then something else you want to do at this step is to create your NCARB record. Your NCARB record is going to be that place that collects all of your information, not just your education information, but also your AXP and ARE information. Okay, so step 2 is going to be completing the architectural experience program. So this is designed to provide real-world experience in 6 key areas of architectural practice. And to complete this AXP, you must log 3,740 hours, and this can be done under 2 settings, A and O, and we'll go over what each of those are. So for setting A, this is work performed in an architecture firm under the supervision of a licensed architect. Most commonly, people complete all of their hours under this setting experience A, but at minimum, you must complete 1,860 hours in this setting. Setting O are additional ways that you can complete these hours. This is for work that is performed outside of an architecture firm. So it could include opportunities like community design projects, teaching, even construction work. But each of these separate categories have a maximum allowable number of hours. You'll see that we've clipped on the right side from the AXP guidelines the various opportunities that you could pursue under setting O. Recommend looking at the AXP guidelines for more information if you'd like to pursue one of those. After completing your education, the NAB degree specifically, this unlocks your eligibility to take the ARE. And so the ARE consists of 6 different divisions. We have practice management, project management, programming and analysis, project planning and design, project development and documentation, then construction and evaluation. And each of these, even though they're related, have slightly different categories of information that you'll need to be studying for each exam. Black Spectacles has a great wealth of study resources available for you to be successful on each of these exams. This is the ARE 5.0 guidelines, and what we'd recommend is when you're at this stage of taking the AREs that you really review these guidelines in detail. These guidelines will tell you what you're actually being tested on, and we recommend that you revisit it regularly throughout your study process. In addition to your Black Spectacles studying, it also includes information about additional resources you may want to pursue while you're preparing for these exams. So each division of the exam has a set of content areas and objectives. Every question that you might encounter on the ARE will tie back to one of these specified objectives. So it is important that you will become familiar with these. Again, the ARE 5.0 guidelines will describe these in more detail, and we do recommend that you pay close attention to the indicated relevance of each study material. So at the end of the ARE guidelines, there's a list of study resources. Some are described as primary, some are described as supplemental. So recommend that you focus on those primary materials if you decide to pursue those resources that NCARB has identified. So one of the common questions we hear is, what order should I take these exams in? So all of these exams can be taken in really whatever order you please, but there are some recommended ways we have, or recommended orders we have for taking these exams. First way is to take similar ARE divisions together. While each of these divisions is slightly distinct, there also is a lot of overlap between the content. And so if we're taking similar ARE divisions together, what we typically recommend is to take practice management, project management, and CE. These are considered the professional practice or contract-based exams. Dissecting and understanding the AIA contract documents is crucial for these 3 exams. So all of those exams will reference those documents. So it's great to, kind of study them all in one block and then take the exam soon after each other while those contracts are still fresh in your mind. Once you take those contract exams, then we recommend taking a second block of exams, which is programming and analysis, project planning and design, then project development and documentation. So these are considered more of the technical exams and align directly with the phases of design. Knowing how to navigate building codes and regulations will come into play for all 3 of these exams. With these 2 blocks of exams, even if you're studying for these multiple divisions simultaneously, you should still space out your exam dates appropriately. And this is where you're gonna have to, think about what is gonna work best for you specifically. Some people might prefer to, space out their exams one week after another. Some people might want 2 weeks after another. It's really up to you as far as how much breathing room you'd like to schedule between each of these exams. So that's one approach that we could take for these exams. And that's actually the approach that I personally took, and I felt that it worked well for me. Another approach you may want to take in, picking an order for these exams is to utilize your existing knowledge and experience. So maybe you have strength or experience in a particular area. It may be advantageous for you to take advantage of that and tackle that division first. Something we really recommend is, you really want that first exam ideally to be a pass. Being able to get that pass right away will help you gain momentum and, keep you motivated as you continue on your ARE journey. And so let's say that you are someone who, is doing a lot of construction documents in the office. Maybe it makes sense for you to take PDD first, as PDD, really is about that end of DD and beginning of construction documents phase. So if let's continue with this example person. If that's you, you're strong in CDs, maybe you take PDD first, then maybe you would take PPD second, which, is somewhat related to PDD, but involves more of the SD and DD phases of design. Then once you wrap up those technical exams, you would take the remaining contract divisions, practice management, project management, and construction and evaluation after that. Lastly, the final method we'd recommend is to simply take the exams in the order you're seeing here, 1 through 6. PCM, is the type of exam, the content that's there is not something that everyone really gets experience in their day-to-day job. It's about managing the firm, practice management. And so this is likely something that you'll need to study for and read the contracts about. And so it'll help you get into the mindset of studying. And then that'll help you develop the study strategies that work best for you and get you into a good rhythm and flow of studying. Okay, so that's, the 3 methods we'd suggest for taking your exams. Again, everyone is going to be different. Everyone's strengths and weaknesses are different. Think about what would work best for you, your experience, your appetite for studying, and we'd recommend going from there.
If you're joining us for the first time, you may know Black Spectacles as a leader in ARE prep, but as I mentioned earlier, on August 14th, we're launching a brand new CSE course to help you pass the California Supplemental exam. Couple things about what we're doing here for you. So first, our process is really, I guess, intentional for developing learning content and really learning experiences for you so that that you're going to have the best chance of passing these exams. So first, we work with learning scientists as well as architects to ensure that you're studying the right content. And those learning scientists help us make sure that you're going to retain that information so that you pass it on the first try. If you go to the next slide, we built everything that we think you need to pass the exams, and that includes a whole bunch of stuff. So first of all, new video lectures. Those video lectures are full of motion graphics and 3D animation. There's transcripts there. Again, all sorts of the same things that you may have come to know Black Spectacles for is available with our CSE prep. We also offer practice exams that are as close to the real thing as you can get. And unlike anybody else out in the market, we offer a pass that's CSE guarantee, which basically says in the unlucky event that you don't pass your exams, we will pay for you to retake the exam. So we do the same thing for the ARE. We stand behind our work, and we do the same thing for the CSE. We stand behind our work. On the next slide, you'll see that you'll also receive access to our deck of flashcards, which, just like with our ARE prep, you can customize and develop your own flashcards if you would like, alongside the ones that we provide to you. Also, as you go through the learning experience and the video lectures, after each section and after each chapter, there will be a quiz to make sure you're retaining that information. And you're also going to get detailed content on the hardest parts of the exams. Lastly, our guided study process is something we introduced at the beginning of the year. It's a pretty amazing tool. I'm really proud that we're able to deliver this for all of you. The idea here is there's a lot of study materials, and it's like, what are you supposed to start with? And what order do you do all this stuff? Well, we have these learning scientists who helped us organize all the study material into a daily study plan for you that just shows you what you need to do each day. You do it, and then you close your laptop and you go on with your life. And it's all designed, it's all built on a curriculum that ensures, as well as a learning experience that ensures you're learning the right content. And it all works together to make sure you remember it so you can be confident that you'll pass those exams. Again, it's why our members, if we go to the next slide here, Patrick, as you may know, with our ARE prep material, our pass rates are 40% higher than the national average, and our members report passing the ARE in half the time of the national average. Well, we use the same standards and the same people and the same process to develop our CSE exams. And as I said, we stand behind our work, which is why we offer our CSE guarantee. So wanted to share a little bit about what we've built for you. Again, it launches on August 14th. Make sure you sign up for the wait list so you can take advantage of the discount for the first 100 people who sign up. Patrick posted that discount in the community today. And with that, I'm very happy to hand it back to you, Marissa.
Awesome, thank you. So to recap what we discussed so far, we discussed the typical path to architecture licensure in California, and that is to obtain your NAB degree, complete your AXP, complete your ARE, and the combination of those three, education, experience, and examination, will make you eligible for the CSE. If you are someone who does not have a NAB degree, do not fret. There are additional paths to licensure in California that are able to make you eligible to take the CSE. So these are the three additional paths here. We have the degree plus work experience path, the work experience only path, and integrated path to architecture licensure, which is a bit of a special one. We'll talk about that one last. So let's go into each of these in a bit more detail. So the way that the California board interprets the NAB degree is that they're saying, okay, the NAB degree is the typical way, and the NAB degree has about a 5-year equivalency of education credit. Then the California board understands that not everybody has that NAB degree, but they still may, meet the core competencies required for licensure. And so for someone, let's say, who did a Bachelor of Science degree in architecture, 4-year degree, that's not necessarily a NAB degree, but what the California board is recognizing is that that person still learned quite a bit of architectural knowledge during their degree, and they have a degree in architecture, but it's a Bachelor of Science degree. So what the California board is allowing is essentially, if you do not have the 5-year equivalency of that NAB degree, you can make up the remaining years required from by adding your degree that is not a NAB degree, completing some amount of additional work experience, adding that up to create that 5-year equivalency. So that's what is essentially happening in this degree plus work experience path. If you have some sort of degree, it could be a Bachelor of Science in architecture, it could be an associate's degree, a 2-year degree. It could even be a bachelor's degree in a field that's not necessarily architecture. Maybe it's a bachelor's degree for structural engineering, civil engineering, interior design. All of those count as some sort of education credit. The remainder of that would need to be made up with additional work experience. Some notes about this additional work experience. So it does have to be completed under a licensed architect. The amount of additional work experience required will vary based on the type of degree that you have earned. Really important to note that this work experience cannot be double counted towards the AXP. So if you pursue the degree plus work experience path, you will still need to complete the AXP on top of it, and you cannot count those hours twice. This is also the typical path for those who have international degrees. So that's the degree plus work experience path. I'm going to move to the work experience only path. If we could go back one slide, Patrick, perfect. So somewhat similar to the degree plus work experience path, what the California board is saying is that some people just do not have a degree in architecture. They may have not gone to college. And so some people just start working at an architecture firm or some sort of allied field straight out of high school. And what the California board is allowing is for those people to have a path to licensure, even if they may not have completed higher education. So again, we're talking about the 5-year equivalency. At a minimum, in the work experience only path, you would need to complete 5 hours of additional work experience outside of the AXP to fulfill the education requirement. So if you're pursuing the work experience only path, you're essentially doing additional work experience to fulfill education. Then on top of that, you would still need to complete the AXP and the ARE to become CSE eligible. And if you're going to be pursuing one of these two paths, I highly recommend you look at the California Architects Board website for more information, as the amount of work experience you're going to have to do to fulfill the education requirement will vary based on a number of factors, such as, are you working directly under a licensed architect? Are you doing work in an allied field, such as, are you working at a civil engineering firm? Are you working at an interior design firm? Are you working at an interior design firm, but there happens to be a California licensed architect there? There's a lot of variables in how those hours are counted. At minimum, it would be 5 years, but it may be more depending on your specific situation. So again, recommend visiting the California Architects Board website to determine your specific requirements. Then we can talk about integrated path architecture licensure, which is a little bit of a unique one. And I actually was fortunate to be part of an IPAL program. So I know this pathway quite well. If anyone has questions, please go ahead and share them, and I'd be happy to answer them. Students who participate in IPAL programs are part of certain NAB programs. And if you attend one of these schools, you are eligible to complete the AXP and take the ARE while completing your education. Typically, you'd have to finish your NAB degree first, then start the ARE after that. With IPAL, you're allowed to do all three at once. There are 33 programs at 28 schools. So if you're eligible for this, I would definitely recommend it. This is what helped me obtain my license. Okay, so to recap, we talked about a lot of things, and I know that the additional pathways for education can make this a little tricky to wrap around in our minds. We're all familiar with the 3 E's: education, experience, and examination. For education, there are 4 paths total. The first NAB accredited degree is the typical pathway, typical and straightforward pathway. Degree plus work experience. If you have some sort of higher education degree, you can combine that with additional work experience to fulfill the education requirement. For the work experience only path, this is saying that if you do not have a higher education degree, if you complete a certain amount of additional work experience, you can use that work experience to fulfill the education requirement. And last is integrated path to architecture licensure, which allows you to take the AREs during your education. What I want to point out here in this graphic is that with any of the pathways that you pick under education, you will still need to complete AXP and you will still need to complete ARE to become CSE eligible. So let's say you're someone who takes your exams really quickly, but you haven't yet completed your AXP. You unfortunately will not be eligible to take the CSE until you check off each of the 3 E's: education, experience, and examination. So there's a bit of a waiting process until you finish all of these core 3 E requirements. But once you do that, this will make you eligible to take the CSE. Okay, now we're gonna go over some administrative steps you'll need to take once you become CSE eligible. So again, once you complete education, experience, and examination, the 3 E's, whether that's through the NAB accredited degree path or one of the additional paths you talked about, you are then eligible to take the CSE. Hopefully on your NCARB record, you've already identified California as your state for initial licensure. If you have done that, NCARB will transfer your record to the California Architects Board to help the California Architects Board confirm, yes, you have in fact completed education, experience, and examination. You will also need to register online at the California Architects Board website. Once CAB receives the information from NCARB and confirms the eligibility from your registration, you will then be given information to register for the CSE. Next step we'd recommend is to review the CSE handbook. And we will have a future CSE Live that goes over that CSE handbook in more detail. Then you'll take the CSE, hopefully you will pass, and then you will be eligible to apply for licensure online at California Architects Board. So those are some of the administrative steps that you'll take once you become eligible for the CSE. All of that was talking about CSE eligibility for initial licensure. Here are some of the administrative steps that you'll need to take if you are pursuing California licensure as a reciprocity candidate. So again, this is for people who are already licensed in another jurisdiction and want to pursue licensure in California. So what you'll need to do is register online at California Architects Board, and you'll also need to submit a California Architect reciprocity application. So this application is basically telling California Architects Board, hello, I am so-and-so, and I am trying to become a licensed architect in California, but I'm a reciprocity candidate because I already have a license in, and then you'll just say whatever jurisdiction you have the license in. You'll also need to work with NCARB to transmit your NCARB record to California's Architects Board so that they can confirm that the information you put on that reciprocity application is correct. So that's step 2. Once California confirms your eligibility, you'll then be able to register for the CSE. And similar to what we mentioned on the previous slide, once you pass the CSE, you'll be eligible to apply for reciprocal licensure online at California Architects Board.
Thanks so much, Marissa. This is Patrick Finnegan, producer of CSE Live. And that was all the things that we have for the initial steps that you'll need to know for how to become a licensed architect in California. But we also wanted to open up the floor because I know everyone has a specific situation that they may have. And I'd also like to introduce Chris Hopstock and Kiara Gleason now. They're both licensed architects in at Black Spectacles too, and they can help out with any questions you may have about how to become a licensed architect in California specifically too. So if you have any questions, you can drop them in our community. We have a thread there called CSE Live, how to become a licensed architect in California. And in there, you can find that at community.blackspectacles.com, and we'll bring them up live to everyone here. But I have a couple questions already starting right now. And we get this a lot of really what other study material should I be looking at? I don't know, Chris, maybe if you can talk on this for other study materials people should be looking at, or how our course is going to be laid out. If you can maybe talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, hey Patrick, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be working on all this CSE content for a good portion of this year. I think in terms of additional materials, one of the great things about this course for us is that we're making it really an all-inclusive course where it's everything you need to pass the CSE. As you all probably know, if you've been looking into the CSE, there's a good amount of overlap with ARE content, and it would have been easy for us to say just look at our ARE content for that sort of stuff. But we didn't do that. We decided to make a full-blown course that covers everything you need to know to pass the CSE. I think that's the right move. So I would say that our course is super comprehensive. There's obviously a lot of documents that you can find online that are specific to California about their rules and regulations, their building code, Cal Green, and things like that we talk about in our videos. So I would encourage you to have those up and open as you're studying so that you can review the original source of information for all of that. But that's all free information that you can get online. I guess my point is you shouldn't have to get any other subscription, buy any other books in order to pass the CSE. You might want to reference some ARE reference books that you already have, but our course is designed to be super comprehensive.
Thanks, Chris. And do you have any kind of following up on that? Do you know generally how many hours our course is going to be, and then generally how much someone should expect to study for like a kind of general timeline for that too?
That's interesting. I'm so in the weeds right now of like how many videos it is, and I'm not really thinking about how long the total course is. So we've got about a little over 70 videos. So I think you're probably looking at a little over a month if you wanted to sit down and really try to hammer through the course. I think safe to say between a month and 2 months. You should.
Right, and we'll also have the like guided study process for that too, and like 30 and 60-day plans, correct? Yeah. So I guess Joseph, for your answer on that, we'll have study plans for you that are broken out by 30 days or 60 days, and you can also accommodate that with your exam date too to make it more customizable. And then I have a question around the actual time around when you have to pass the CSE for reciprocity. So is there any amount of time you have to pass the CSE once you are approved for reciprocity?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'd recommend looking at the California Architects Board website to confirm, but I do know that for initial candidates, you need to be testing once every 5 years to keep your record active. So there may be something related to that for reciprocity candidates. That also might be, a specific piece of information that you may need to actually call them to get the answer rather than it being listed on the website. So sorry, I don't have the specific answer for you, but those are my recommendations.
No worries, thanks. And then Marissa, I think you can help out with this one. It's kind of similar to that, but we have someone who is a foreign architect, and they're planning to use the international architect path to get their license in California, which means they'll first have to get the NCARB certificate and then apply for the CSE. Is this path the same as the reciprocal licensure path?
If you are getting your initial licensure in California, then no, you would just be following the standard initial licensure path. Or is this, I guess, if this person wants to clarify, are you saying that you are already licensed internationally and now you're trying to get your license in the US? Or are you saying that you have an international degree and you're wanting to apply that towards initial licensure in California? If you feel inclined, let us know and I can try to clarify.
Yeah, sounds good. This was for MIDI NG. So if you want to just send another follow-up, we can bring that up. We can also answer this after the episode too, but just want to let you know about the kind of international path about this. And then I'm gonna give it another minute or two just to see if anyone else has any more questions specifically about how to become a licensed architect in California. Just like before, we can answer it as specific to your situation, because if you're going through this, I'm guessing there are also other people that are going to, that have similar questions too. Yeah, following up off of that, they have their architecture license in Hong Kong, so they already have that, but then they're going to be looking to get it in California next.
Gotcha. Okay, where I would start is with the NCARB website, because NCARB does have quite a number of mutual recognition agreements with other countries' licensure. So check that first to see, that would be the quickest way. If we happen to already have an MRA in place, that would be most streamlined way for you to get your license. If that's not the case, then if you're trying to pursue initial licensure in California as like your initial license in the US, then I would say it would be the work experience, degree plus work experience path. The one that I mentioned that is typical for international degrees, I would start there. And definitely recommend checking out the requirements on the CAB website, because I think there are some additional forms you may need to fill out if you're trying to apply your international degree.
Great, and then we have just one more question, and this is around when the CSE prep course is going to be available. So that's going to be coming out next month, August 14th. And you'll be able to also, first 100 people to sign up for that are going to receive a 10% discount too. We'll have more information coming out about this later, but I also recommend that you go and sign up for the waitlist at blackspectacles.com/CSE-prep. And we're also going to be sending out an email after this too with a live episode of this too. And then in that, we'll also have the link for the waitlist as well too that you can sign up for. But with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Mark, as that looks like that's all the questions that we have for today. Appreciate everyone helping out.
That's a good transition there, Patrick. So yeah, wanted to thank everyone. Of course, Marissa, Patrick, Kiara, and Chris for all of your help today, and for all of your support of the architecture community. In this case, particularly in California. If you're joining us, we've talked about it a couple of times. So as Patrick said, August 14th is the big day. Make sure you join this wait list that you can see on your screen right here, so you take advantage of the 10% discount for the first 100 members. As I shared earlier, just like with our ARE prep, you'll get everything you need to pass the CSE exam the first time, which includes new video lectures with motion graphics and 3D animation, practice exams as close to the real thing as you can get, customizable flashcards and quizzes, as well as our guided study process, which helps you customize your study process and have a plan for your exam date. Our next CSE live session, it's fun to say that, will be on August 13th, so a day before we launch, where we'll be covering what's on the CSE, which will include key topics and smart study strategies. You can go over to blackspectacles.com/podcast/CSE-live to sign up. And I'd like to congratulate Kevin H. Your post on our ARE plus CSE community today won you a free Black Spectacles t-shirt. So we'll reach out via email to get your size and shipping information. So we'll be in touch soon. And just a reminder, if you'd like to be eligible to win a t-shirt, post a question in our featured post in the community during the next CSE Live. And just know our community is always active. It's not just during our webinars and podcasts, of course, so you can poke around, see what your peers are up to and asking about. We have licensed architects on our team who they answer your questions, so throw them in there, and we will we'll do our best to provide you with a great answer. Finally, be sure to take our survey about CSE Live, which you'll find in your email after this episode, and share any suggestions you may have. I promise we read every word that you write and use them to tune our next episodes. Thanks for tuning in.